Winning the world title should signify that a wrestler has reached the apex of their craft. It should mean that fans, industry critics, and the decision makers behind the scenes in WWE have come to the same conclusion. That wrestler in question is worthy of the top position and they're 100% behind him. All too often, however, that's not exactly the case. And there's another major problem too. Injuries can occur at the most inconvenient of times, and isn't it just the way that it's always in the middle of a very good run? And when they do strike, they're a depressing reminder of the fragility each title reign is so equally blighted by. It's fair to say nothing is certain in the ever-changing and fickle world of pro wrestling. Whether it's through injury, personal decisions, or because the performer in question had no business being champ in the first place, not looking at anyone specific here, ex-champions can suffer a painful decline and move out of the top title picture entirely. Within one calendar year, and sometimes within a matter of months, they find themselves being dumped on by the creative machine and tasked with churning out fresh content to fill the airtime. When you're hot, and when you're not, you're absolutely not. I'm Adam Nicholas from What Culture Wrestling, and these are the 7 fastest downfalls from WWE champions. Number 7, Christian. 2011 was a banner year for Christian. He directly benefited from his best friend's retirement to replace Edge as Alberto Del Rio's opponent, and he won the world title at Extreme Rules. Then, after WWE pulled the rug on his title reign and jump-started a feud with Randy Orton, he showed his chops as a heel once again. The pair traded the belt in a fine program that should have made Christian a permanent fixture in the main event mix. Sadly, it didn't, although it is fair to say that injuries are partly to blame for that. The rest of the heat falls on WWE's writers for the dreadful comeback angle they had in mind for one of 2011's hottest villains. WWE's big plan for Christian's return? Have him side with John Laurinaitis at WrestleMania 28 in the meaningless Team Johnny vs Team Teddy 12-man tag team match. And sadly, that was it, and disaster struck again when Christian relapsed and took some more time off. And by the time he returned as a babyface at Over the Limit, he was relegated back to being in the secondary title scene. Number 6, Jeff Hardy. Now, TNA had their hands on some hot property as they attempted a soft relaunch and vied to compete with WWE on Monday nights in 2010. Jeff Hardy, who had been warring over WWE's world title a mere 6 months before, landed in the Impact Zone for a second go-around in the company on January 4th. Unfortunately for the folks at Impact, Jeff just wasn't the same guy who had been lighting up WWE rings in matches against Edge, CM Punk and others just 1 year previous. Jeff's personal life was all over the news and he was embroiled in a lengthy legal case stemming from possession of drugs. Jeff last held the World Heavyweight title in his hands at SummerSlam 2009. Less than half a year later, he was showing up on TNA shows and doing little of note. And sadly, that's not the only negative here. Hardy was widely considered to be the man who would carry WWE main events through the next few years when he bagged the WWE title at Armageddon in late 2008. Not only did that not happen, but Jeff left the promotion the following August. Number 5, Daniel Bryan. The elation of WrestleMania 30 was almost overbearing. Watch Bryan's comforting smile now on the WWE Network, and it's still a spine-chilling example of audiences becoming one with a performer they admire. That only made what happened next all the more tragic. After winning the big one at Mania, Bryan wrestled a mere 4 matches before being stripped of the title by the Authority due to injury. That means from his highest of highs in April until announcing his neck injury and being stripped in June, one of WWE's best was barely around. The number becomes even more shocking when realizing that he had worked 228 matches in 2013 and 213 in 2012. A real busy bee, a consummate professional and hard worker when healthy, and the kind of man fans could count on to have quality matches aplenty. But Daniel had come to terms with the fact his run stopped before it really got started. And even more bad news came when his situation worsened to the point of eventual retirement. Fortunately, he's back now and looking awesome, we should point out, but 2014 was a hellish year for Bryan. In the space of 2 months, he went from top man to all but down and out. Number 4, Finn Balor. As he pointed towards the heavens and celebrated his victory at SummerSlam 2016, Finn Balor had brought WWE and New Japan fans together in a sea of elation. Both audiences, while distinctly different, could appreciate what the Irishman had brought to the table. His lightning-fast ring style and love of theatrics had made him a superstar, but not just any superstar, a WWE superstar. Then, all too quickly, it was gone. 24 hours later, Balor vacated the Universal title on Raw and didn't wrestle again until the following March. Safe to say it was a bit of a depressing period for Finn Balor, and one he still hasn't quite fully recovered from. Since returning from that serious shoulder injury, Balor's worked some fairly dreadful feuds with Bray Wyatt and Baron Corbin, dipped a toe into the IC title scene, and done a lot of smiling. Like, a lot of smiling. His fall was much too quick for someone as talented as he is. There is hope that he'll get another crack at being Raw's main man, but it doesn't seem to be forthcoming anytime soon. Despite a fantastic match with Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble 2019, Balor is booked as a mid-carder at best, and there's a real worry that that one big chance of his might have eluded him. Come on now, Vince, let's stop messing around, stick that man in the OC, and make him a goddamn star again. Number 3, Jack Swagger. Jack Swagger had won the World Heavyweight title by cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase on the 30th of March 2010. The title win over Chris Jericho aired on the 2nd of April episode of SmackDown. 82 days later, he lost the belt to Rey Mysterio in a fatal 4-way and was promptly booted from the Elite Pack after failing to regain the title at Money in the Bank. And to make matters worse, 397 days after winning said world title, Swagger was being smacked around by an announcer as he and Michael Cole faced Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler in a country whipping match at Extreme Rules 2011. Or wasn't that a wonderful little nugget? To put that into perspective, AJ Styles' most recent WWE title reign was 371 days. In approximately the same time frame, Jack went from world champ to being whipped like a government mule by good old JR. Just trying to think of what the opposite of business picking up is. And before that Extreme Rules absurdity, Swagger had acted as Cole's personal trainer and played second fiddle to him at WrestleMania 27. So, to put that into perspective, the man WWE made world champ at WrestleMania 26 didn't even have a match on the following year's card. Number 2, Jinder Mahal. Now, I think we can all probably agree that some eyebrows were raised when WWE crowned the lowly Jinder Mahal the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion at Backlash 2017. This was the guy who was best known for being the third wheel in the rock band stable 3MB, and more recently, losing every match he had and following Rusev around like his little weird mate. Suddenly, Mahal was the main man on SmackDown, and, like a fairly broken TV, fans had a hard time adjusting. When the experiment ended at the hands of AJ Styles on November the 7th, so too did Jinder's push. Once he lost his routine rematch at Clash of Champions in December, Jinder Mahal was shunted down the pecking order and placed in the busy United States title hunt. WWE's message to fans could not have been clearer. They'd moved away from the modern-day Maharaja, and that was that. Aside from a few glimmers here and there, including a short feud with Roman Reigns, Jinder has reverted to his old position of star-enhancing jobber. And if that sounds a bit harsh, well, so too was the decline. Sadly, despite what I'm sure was a lot of hard work, Mahal will forever be regarded as one of the worst WWE champions of all time. And number 1, Bray Wyatt. Now, putting aside everything that's happening with The Fiend right about now, and Jesus goddamn Christ, I hope that works out for him, let's talk about this one. The story of Bray Wyatt in 2017 can be summed up as follows. A surprise WWE champion at Elimination Chamber who had a lifeless match at WrestleMania 33, then jumped down to Raw and did next to nothing of any meaning whatsoever. Now, while that all sounds pretty damning when you lay it out like that, it's important to remember here that Bray Wyatt himself actually did nothing wrong. You can't fault the effort of Bray Wyatt, but what you can fault is the WWE writers. They were the ones who had him pin both John Cena and AJ Styles to win the chamber, and they were responsible for taking that momentum and turning it into the silliest of bollocks when it came to Sister Abigail. Can you imagine if he'd ended up as Sister Abigail? Jesus Christ, man. What should have been a career-making win for Bray Wyatt ended up being another false dawn. Come the end of the year, Wyatt was moved to an angle with Matt Hardy that would result in the pair rehashing Matt Hardy's broken and woken gimmicks before the pair of them formed a tag team. There's just no two ways about it here. His descent from the highs of WWE Championship glory has been really, really painful to watch. But of course, there is a glimmer of hope with the new gimmick in The Fiend. The only problem is, it's that goddamn hope that kills you.
Hello, What Culture? My name is Simon Miller, and today I have an announcement so big, so huge, it's gonna shatter the very foundations of your life to the point you may need to phone up a friend and say, I don't even know who I am anymore. I have just heard the news. Have you heard the news? They'll probably say, no, I haven't heard the news, but you're already on the phone to them. You've already connected with them, so I would appreciate it if you either tell them the news or send them to this video. Thanks. So what is the news? Well, it's nice and simple. I've heard you out there. I've seen you've been commenting. I've read your tweets, and I can now officially let you know that if you do enjoy Raw ups and downs, if you do enjoy SmackDown ups and downs, that now you'll be able to set your watches to them. You'll be able to make notes in your calendars, because we're gonna have an official time for when they're gonna go live. I know, massive. So ups and downs for Raw will go live at 2 p.m. GMT, that's British time every Tuesday, and they will go live at 2 p.m. GMT every Wednesday. for SmackDown. So you don't have to be aimlessly walking around anymore going, what do? I want to know what got up and what got down and what Seth Rollins did or what AJ Styles is up to. Now you know. 2 p.m. GMT Tuesday, 2 p.m. GMT Wednesdays, ups and downs coming at you in the face. I realise what I just said, retract that, keep moving on, and I hope to see you there soon. And I hope that we build an audience so big that if I ever wanted to march an army anywhere in the world, I could, and we'd call it the Ups and Downs Army, because I haven't come up with a better name. So yes, just to reiterate, Raw Ups and Downs, 2 p.m. GMT Tuesday, SmackDown Ups and Downs, 2 p.m. GMT Wednesday. I cannot wait to bring this brand new era in, and unlike other brand new eras, I've already let you know exactly what you can expect to see. Come on, 2019, Kenny Omega, I don't know where he's going, but you do know and you can always rely on ups and downs.